everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new video. Today I wanted to talk about two specific things. First of all, I wanted to talk about the upcoming balance and ranked play changes. Two major things that will change with this announcement, and the second thing I want to talk about, they also just announced some set rotation that is coming up and what is gonna happen together with the set rotation, the year of the Mammoth. So let's, without further ado, just get right into it, and let's start with the two major things. The first big change is that once a player hits rank 15, 10 or 5, they will no longer be able to D-rank past that rank. So similar to how it already is with rank 20, you can't D-rank past rank 20. So this is how it was since pretty much beta or the beginning of the game. And so as soon as you reach rank, I don't know, past rank 20, you can fall back to rank 20. And with the upcoming changes, you cannot D-rank from rank 5 and 15 and 10. So I think that's a good change. Obviously, I don't think, for me personally, like reaching legend is not that big of an issue, but you kind of get, as they said, they want players to be able to experiment with new decks, and with the D-ranking you always felt like you have to play the strongest decks, because all the good players are usually way past rank 20 anyways, even with the bad decks. So there's really no big upside that you can't D-rank past rank 20, and all the legend players start from rank 17 anyway, so you really don't get a big benefit. But if you can't D-rank from, I think that you can't D-rank from rank 15 or 10 is not a big change for the good players, but it's probably a nice change for casual players, so it's definitely a good thing. But for the good players that you can't D-rank past rank 5, it's definitely a nice little change, so you can get to rank 5 pretty quickly and then just keep experimenting with decks and not fall back too far back to rank 7 or 8, what happens sometimes if you just test out paladin decks and stuff. So definitely a good change, but nothing too crazy. It's just that once you reach those specific ranks, you can lose and not fall back. So it's nice to have that, but nothing too crazy, I would say. It's definitely a good change. The next big thing is the two nerfs that they're announcing. The first nerf is Small Time Buccaneer, has now 1 health down from 2, and Spirit Claws costs now 2 mana up from 1 mana. There's actually like a lot of things you can talk about in those changes. I think that Spirit Claws, first of all, Spirit Claws is not the problem right now in the game, I'm pretty sure. I would say the Jade Claws is much stronger than Spirit Claws right now if we are talking about shaman weapons, because you don't rely on the totem RNG anymore. Like, right now you don't really go for the Spirit Claws turn 1 into roll a Spell Power Totem turn 2. If you get Spell Power Totem, you pretty much win the game from there. Right now you just have a lot of minions you can play, so you rarely totem up on turn 2. So the Spirit Claw is really, it's definitely a powerful weapon, obviously, but right now Spirit Claw is really not the main culprit. You have to think that from all the cards they could change, they chose those two things. Yes, Spirit Claws were very, very powerful, but right now in the current game, Spirit Claws are not the issue. You see people already cutting a lot Spirit Claws from a lot of lists, from mid-range lists, Jade's lists. Some lists play 1, some lists play even 0 Jade Claws, Spirit Claws. Which is kind of interesting that they decided to. Why it is so interesting is because Spirit Claws was definitely a problem before Mean Streets of Gadgetsun. When mid-range Shaman was by far the strongest deck in the game, Spirit Claws were definitely an issue, because Spirit Claws decided many game outcomes together with Tusker Totemic on turn 3. So it's kind of weird to change it now. It's kind of like very similar to the Warzone Commander nerf, where it happened way past the patron meta. It's like, okay, we changed the spirit clause now. Cool story, I would say. One big change is definitely the small time Buccaneer, because it doesn't just affect the Shaman deck, it affects currently the Warrior deck, Shaman deck, Rogue deck. Yep, those are the three main decks or classes where you play Buccaneer in. It's like a staple in those decks. And how much will this change affect those archetypes? What comes to mind is that a lot of lists run only one South Sea Deckhand right now, and you will probably play South Sea Deckhand, second South Sea Deckhand over Buccaneer. It's still a powerful card, but it's now much easier to remove it. The problem is the nerf affects this the most in the mirror, where people also play pirates and patches, because now the patches takes out the Buccaneer, and that's like a big nerf for the Buccaneer. So will this card still see play? Yes, it's still good enough in Pirate Warrior, I would say. I'm not sure if you still play it in Rogue. Probably not. I'm actually not too sure, because Swashbuckler seems kinda better now to just pull the patches, and South Sea Deckhand also seems stronger in Rogue. So you probably won't play it in Rogue anymore. In Shaman, also because you have the Trog. I mean, the Spirit Clause is like a different change. When I talked to it shortly with Loyan about this, I think that what will happen is, because there's so many powerful Shaman versions, and there's already a tier 1 Shaman version that doesn't play Spirit Clause or Small Time Buccaneer. It is actually a mid-range Shaman with the Jade package. So you play the Jade Lightning, Aya, and Jade Clause. You don't even run Spirit Clause or Buccaneer in that list. So I would assume that mid-range Shaman will just be the strongest deck in the game after the changes. Aggro decks are getting obviously nerfed, and Jade decks are already super powerful, and what keeps them back are like the pirate decks, and if those are not around, then pretty much Jade mid-range Shaman will be the strongest deck in the game and will beat every other deck. And before the next expansion will be released, you will still face a lot of Shamans, but now you will face Shamans that you probably can't beat, because they will all be mid-range Jade Shaman, and then you will be forced to play your own mid-range Jade Shaman. So how will this affect the meta? We will see more Shamans, pretty much. Even though Buccaneer and Spirit Clause will get nerfed, it will result into a lot of Shamans, probably more than 40% that you face. So have fun with that. I think what really kept the Jade Shamans taking over the meta, which they are already slowly doing, is the face decks that you could just die to them. But if the face decks get nerfed, then yeah, there's nothing that holds back the Jade decks, because they're already beating the Reno decks. So yeah, a lot of Jade Shaman incoming. So this is pretty much what we can expect. What I would have liked to see is actually bigger changes, but we can't expect too big changes. Bigger changes will happen obviously with the rotation. I think that the Jade mechanic keeps every single control deck in check, so I don't think a small nerf or a buff of certain cards will change the game too much, because of the entire Jade mechanic, right? If you change one Jade card, maybe if you nerf Aya, because Aya is played in every single Jade deck, maybe the Jade mechanic will get nerfed to an extent that you can play other decks. I don't think so, but still, it's an entire mechanic that keeps every other control deck in check. Not sure what you can do about it. So we have to wait 2 years, I assume, or maybe they introduce another broken mechanic or broken cards like Kazakus in the next expansion, and those will be able to contest those Jades. We'll see. I don't want to focus on that too much. I want to move on to what I announced just around 5 minutes ago actually. The set rotation is coming up, And what they're going to do is finally, they still don't make a core set, what is every like pro player hoping for years now almost. And but what they're going to do is move some cards of the classic set to wild, or the Hall of Fame set, or whatever they call it. And I want to talk about this briefly here. So they're moving Azure Drake, which is super awesome, to the core set. Azure Drake is such a powerful card, and it was always played in the 5 mana slot in so many decks, in Rogue for years now, in Druid as well, and a lot of other decks. There were very few cards in the history of expansions that could contest the Azure Drake slot in decks. The two that come to my mind immediately were Sludge Belcher and Lorthep, and as soon as those two 5-drops rotated out, people just went back to playing Azure Drakes, and you always played Azure Drake and Shaman since the beginning of time. And it's difficult to print a 5-drop that is just way more powerful than Azure Drake, that pushes Azure Drake out of the deck, because it's such a good card, flexible, it's a dragon, you know, spell power, draws your card, it's just great. And yeah, I'm happy that this card will get removed, so we can play like other cards instead, as they say. Savannas, again, strongest control card. It was nerfed from initially being 5 mana, and even though it was nerfed, it's one of the very few cards that were nerfed in the past and were still being played in so many different decks. Like it's ridiculous in how many decks Savannas was played still, even after it got nerfed. Yeah, staple in many decks, and almost no new 6-drop can ever push this card out of the game, because the more powerful other 6-drops are gonna become, it just makes Savannas stronger. Like even bigger minions, everything past 6 mana, it doesn't actually matter what mana cost. The stronger the minions you would play, the more Savannas, the stronger Savannas becomes. So it's good that Savannas rotates out finally. Mr. Coin Flip decided so many world champions and world championships and offline tournaments and whatnot. Way too powerful for 8 mana. If you print a card that is stronger than this for 8 mana, then yeah, I don't even know, must be on Ragnaros or Tyrion level, and you will probably even still play the Ragnaros, because Ragnaros has a 50% chance or a 30% chance or whatever to kill it when you play it. Just very stupid RNG board control. Very nice that this one rotates out. Path of the Whelming, again, played in so many different decks. Was played in Handlock, was played in Rhinolock, was played in Zoo. Always, all the time. Way too powerful. 1 mana, +4/+4. Really limits them, apparently, design space as well, to make like charges. I don't know. Just, like pretty much they're killing combo with this expansion completely. Like right now you're playing Leroy combo in Rhinolock and Freeze Mage. Those are the last remaining combo decks, and they're killing those finally as well with removing Power of the Wild and Icelands. I'm personally not a big fan of that, but right now without knowing the cards that they're announcing from the new expansion, Hearthstone is kind of becoming a very simplified game. All those, if they're pushing like archetypes like Katoon or Jades, which obviously they're doing now for a year, the game becomes really simple to play, and this is I think scary for the competitive scene, because if the game is too easy, then pretty much everyone can beat everyone, and combo decks were like the most difficult decks to play, and there were only 2 remaining combo decks. I still kind of count the combo Rhinolock as a combo deck, and if you remove, I mean now finally the last 2 combo decks are getting removed from the game, we only have like a Curve Stone remaining pretty much, and I really wonder how fun the game is gonna be from this point on. I'm curious. My prediction is, I mean, we don't know what kind of cards they will introduce, but right now it looks kind of scary. And yeah, Conceal, obviously no interaction. It's probably good that Conceal gets removed from the game. I don't think that Rogue needs this card at all, and it really just sets up a crazy auctioneer turn, and most of the time you can't do anything about it. And yeah, I think that Conceal being out of the game is important. It should have been out of the game probably when Miracle Rogue was introduced and when Auctioneer was 5 mana, but it being out of the game is very good, I think, the Conceal. Yeah, I think most of these cards are good that are rotating out. I'm not sure about the Icelands and the Power Overwhelming. I hope that Blizzard has some exciting stuff in store. With just the current information, I don't think the nerfs are too good. Yes, a lot of people are crying about the aggro decks. I personally thought that the real problem of the game is beyond just the aggro decks, and I talked about this in my previous video. I like that they're starting to rotate out classic cards that are played in so many different decks. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm a bit scared because I really hope that Blizzard is not making the game too casual. But they did it with their other games as well, more and more. There's very few Blizzard games that are like hardcore in terms of difficulty, and I think if the game becomes too easy, then a lot of people will leave. And right now I'm a bit scared that this is going to happen with Hearthstone. It happened with Diablo 3 and it happened with World of Warcraft. The games just became too easy, too casual. It attracts a lot of casual players, but if the hardcore player base leaves, then the viewership is not really interested in like watching tournaments and stuff like that. And like if Hearthstone becomes too easy, I don't think that people would watch. But I don't want to go too far or too deep into this. This is just like the surface. We have no idea what the next expansion will bring. They introduced, they also mentioned here that they will introduce 3 expansions per year, and every expansion will have 130 cards, and those are good changes. That is like a lot more cards, so I mean a lot of new cards, so let's hope a lot of exciting things. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's see how it goes, and I'm pretty sure that Blizzard knows what they're doing. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.